coming to you live from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. It's the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal.
Hi, and welcome to the Sheena Metal Experience, only on Parapod TV. I'm Sheena Metal, and I'm a psychic medium, an energetic healer, an interfaith minister. I'm also a 29-year talk radio host in Los Angeles and beyond, a creative and a performing artist, and a paranormal survivor. And I come to you live from my home in Southern California every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. This show is about spirituality, it's about creativity, it's about humanity, it's about passion, it's about service, it's about becoming and then maintaining being your best you in this big, beautiful world. And then, of course, inspiring others to do the same, the most important thing. And it may be my show, it is the Sheena Metal Experience after all, but that doesn't mean it's not always and forever your experience. My guest today is a wonderfully talented psychic and author. She's also part of the Warren Legacy Foundation. Please welcome to the show the wonderful Nicole Gaspard. How are you, my friend? It's good to have you here.
Oh, good. Thank you for having me.
Just completely a pleasure. So let's talk a little bit about you.
Sure.
What came first? The realizing that you had gifts or your interest in the paranormal? What was sort of the first thing?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Possibly both, yeah.
How old were you when you knew you had gifts?
I think I was around 5 or 6.
Okay.
And I realized from a recent psychic reading, I forget who she was, but she was terrific. And she said I had an imaginary friend, and I just like, oh yeah, I remember that. I had an imaginary friend that wasn't so imaginary, you know.
Right. And
I'd like to say.
Right. Were you seeing things? Were you seeing spirits? Were you seeing different things?
Oh yeah, I see them all. That's why I see, and I mostly hear them. And or once in a great while, I'll see their like full apparitions.
Oh, okay.
And not just shadow.
Oh, shadow people.
Not just shadow people, but also mostly their full like apparitions.
Oh, the full body apparition, like in shadow form.
Right. Well, actually, like how they used to be, but always transparent.
Right.
Like
right.
how I see you right now is kind of like how I see the full apparition.
Like you see totally look like people like you wouldn't even know unless you knew.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I see them too. I know sometimes people see them as disembodied or they see them as like see-through. Right. I always see them very opaque and looking just like people, although I can tell by the energy they're not living beings. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely does.
I grew up in a very horrible haunted house outside of Baltimore, Maryland when I was little.
Oh wow.
And my mama saw all kinds of things. I was 9 when we moved there and 13 when we moved here. And one time I was walking by my dad's office. I just got kind of a creepy feeling in his office. And one day I walked by his office and there was just this man in there staring at me. And he had kind of like oatmeal colored pants and suspenders and a kind of oatmeal colored top, like very kind of, mid 1800s looking. He had really long white hair. And I thought, oh, that's not a person. But it wasn't, it's, I know a lot of people say it's not scary and there's nothing to be scared of, but when you're a little kid, Nicole, right, and you see something like that, it's absolutely scary.
Right, and it's hard to always confide in someone because, it's their kid, it's their imagination going wild.
Of
course. You can't really explain it to a young one because they don't really understand anyway, so. Right. And I'm trying not to scare them, especially when I do readings, because I don't want to say, oh, you got a demon. Maybe they do, but I just want to scare them,
Right,
Maybe it's just somebody else, like they were mean in life, they can be mean in the afterlife.
Yes, exactly. Right.
I hope that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. And there is that theory, right? People say, and I was just talking about on one of my shows, I think just this week I was talking about that. People will say like, oh, a ghost can't harm you. A ghost can't harm you.
Oh, they
It's
can.
not really true. People have had heart attacks from fear, scares.
Yeah.
I mean, a ghost isn't going to pull out a knife and slash your throat, but
I think
there
it
are
depends how
things that
much.
they can do to cause trouble. So, I'm not
Right.
a big fan, and I'm sure as an investigator, I'm just putting words in your mouth, but I'm going to say this. I'm sure you are too. Um, there is uh, a whole school of thought that you go into a location and you bully them and you scream at them and, hey, what do you
Right. Yeah.
got? I don't believe in you. Why don't you show me? I think people like that sometimes wind up with their lives messed up, either temporarily or permanently, from messing with things. Because when you go into a location, right, Nicole, you're not only talking to spirits of passed on people, but there's
Right.
also non-human entities there, earth spirits, interdimensionals, sometimes unfortunately demonics, dark energy stuff. And you don't want to be just shaking your fists and flipping the bird at these things, because you don't know what they are. And first of all, it's not respectful, and secondly, it's not safe. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree. It's like it's all about respect, whether you're
Yeah,
living or dead, you don't, and they won't even want to talk to you if you don't respect them or
I
yell.
agree.
If
Yes.
it was me, I would want to talk to that person that's yelling at me. You know,
Yes. Right.
I'll go to the other person.
Right. Yes. 100%. Right. You and people wonder why they go in locations and they get nothing. But maybe that's why. Maybe because maybe you would walk into a party and not make any friends. Maybe it's your attitude, right? There's this.
Right.
There's always this. There's this.
Definitely game
There's
changer there.
yeah. I mean, you have to watch how you are with the living and the non-living. And I just
True.
don't think it makes any sense to go in looking for a fight. I'll tell you a story. So there's a
Sure.
very haunted house in my hometown that almost nobody knew about. But my best friend and her son run the historical society, so they're the custodians of this house. And I've been going there with some friends of mine that are YouTube influencers, and this other group of guys contacted them and wanted to investigate with them. And they said, okay, can we bring them to the house? And I said, sure. So they came to the house, and there's a picture on the wall of the man who owned the house, and his name is on the house. And this guy starts saying like these really inappropriate things, like, oh, did you ever cheat on your wife? Did you ever look at naked pictures of ladies? I mean, it was the night before Halloween, right? So supercharged night, Halloween Eve, the 30th of October, moving into the 31st.
Oh
It's
yeah.
10 o'clock at night. And he starts aggravating this guy. And all of a
Huh.
sudden, some entity moved right through him and scared
Ooh.
the living crap out of him. He thought he was having a heart attack. And he was, almost in tears. Like, he had to go outside. We had to go out there with him. We had to work him through some breathing. Like, he was melting down. You don't go into a house where you don't know what's there
Right.
and start insulting things, because you can be in big trouble. And sometimes, right, Nicole, your troubles don't end when you
Yep.
leave the house. Sometimes stuff follows you home.
Yeah, I have a funny story about that actually. It wasn't at home actually at my former workplace at the grocery
Mm.
store. I got to retire early, so but anyway, one time I kept feeling like something is messing with my hair. So it's like pretty obvious it wasn't a buzz or nothing. All day long I was trying to work. And then it finally followed me home. So later
Oh,
on that night, a friend of mine, who's also an investigator, we I highly not recommend doing this, but I'm like, you know what, there's something by me. So we did a SB7 box session, right? And all of a
is
sudden,
that is that like a ghost box kind of?
yeah, it's a
Okay.
spirit box for communication.
Yeah.
I actually have one around somewhere, but yeah, all of a sudden, when we had both of our boxes running, and then we did a response like, stop it, Frank. We call it the jealous girlfriend EVP. That's just a class A EVP I've ever heard.
Wow. Wow.
Stop it, Frank. I knew I felt something with me all day. And yeah, so it can be anywhere. They can pick up grocery store because
It can
a
follow
lot
you
of
anywhere.
people
My
go
son,
through. Yeah.
the scariest night I ever spent in my life was the first night away from that house, because we didn't know if it was attached to the house or us. And luckily it was the house. When it's the house, you're lucky because you can move. When it's you,
Right.
it moves with you. So everything you can do to not have things attached to you. And I'm sure you go through this.
Unless you're gifted, you might have spirits follow you everywhere.
Well, that's why I'm saying anything you can do to not have spirits attached to you. Um, a lot of my clients, especially those that are very eager to get more involved in the paranormal community, are looking for ways to draw things to them. Especially the ones that are interested in drawing the darkness. I want to see the dark spirits. I'm like, no, no, you don't. You don't need
No,
to
you
see.
don't. They don't look pretty, and then believe me, I've seen them too.
And they're not nice. You don't ever want to see that.
No,
If
they
you
aren't
want to see that,
nice.
watch a movie. If you want to see that, don't invite that into your own life, right?
Right, right.
Do you do a lot of paranormal investigating? And when you do you consider yourself, Nicole, split between being an investigator and a psychic, or do you go in with the intention of being one or the other?
Well, for now, I'm more of a psychic because I haven't been able to get out much to investigate because I don't have a team per se. And just going solo is not always a good idea.
Yeah.
You never know. For safety reasons, that's why I don't go solo investigation. I always
Right,
make sure I
right.
have someone with me for that
Yeah, I don't
reason.
think it's ever a good idea to go and do investigations on your own. I mean, some people
Not
do.
that I'm afraid, but you just never know what you might run into.
I think
So let me order that.
it's not smart for three-dimensional reasons. You shouldn't be wandering around a house by yourself.
Right.
Or a location, and also it's not safe spiritually because you don't know what's going to happen, and there is a safety in numbers, right? There's such a safety in numbers.
True, yeah. And it's funny, I started out in the field as an investigator. Yeah, I had a few friends that was curious like myself. And we started investigating our local cemeteries.
Okay.
And we had some crazy experiences. Even one time, we felt like we weren't even welcome there, and they like throwing things at us. We were
Mm,
literally thrown out that one time. So I'm
mm.
like, okay, I got your message and stuff.
Right. Yes. Right. Now, do you find that cemeteries tend to be as haunted? I mean, is the resting place of the dead as haunted as a place where that person lived? Or if you were at someone's grave, Nicole, do you think you would find more paranormal activity there, or in their house or their work or someplace where they lived?
That's a good question. I think you may have a better chance at where they used to live. Because for me, if I was in a grave, I wouldn't want to hang around, see all of them people around me. So I
Right.
would want to go to my friend or someone I knew in life
Yeah.
or location I knew and where I was
Yeah.
most comfortable in.
I find that too. And I think that's why you find a lot of like theaters are haunted, comedy clubs,
Exactly. And I've
people's
had
homes,
experiences in there too.
hotels. People go to the places that made them happy, right? Ships, luxury,
Yeah.
like the cruise ships. I think a lot of spirits haunt cruise ships, and I think we know about the Queen Mary, but I mean, I even think the
I've been
current
there
cruise
throughout
ship.
my life.
Yeah, me too. Have you always been based? You're based in Southern California, right? Have you always been?
Yeah. And I say I like to say, if I may say, my grandparents used to work on there.
Really,
And there
on the
is
Mary?
engine room in the engine room. And that is where I kept seeing the shadow person go by. And so I told the local team here, and they caught it too. So like I knew I was seeing something there.
Wow. What did your grandparents do in the engine room?
I didn't. That's a good question. I should ask her. She's still alive, but my grandfather passed away 2 years ago.
And they both
But
worked on the ship, or just him?
I believe they both did.
Wow. My mom sailed on the ship after the
Oh,
Second World War with
I
her
would love
family.
that.
On that and the Elizabeth, going to Europe and coming back. And I always tell the funny story that my grandfather was very set in his ways. So he wanted that Sagittarius. He wanted to bring his station wagon so they could drive around
Huh.
Europe in the station wagon. So he brought his car on the ship. And while it was in storage, somebody broke into it and stole the radio. And I'm like,
Oh no.
people say things are bad now, but even in the 40s, somebody stole my grandpa's car radio. He was so mad when they got to Europe because he didn't have a radio to listen to while they drove around. But yeah, my mom. So when I was on there, I always felt kind of close to my mom. But later in life, when we lived here, my mom was big into embroidery, and she was the president of the Orange County Embroidery Guild. And she planned the regional and the national conferences. Well, she always planned the regionals, and sometimes it was her turn to plan the nationals when it was her turn. And all the hotels courted her because everybody wants the business of a big conference coming, right? So the Queen Mary brought her there, and they fed her, and they took her on it. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't. She's like, I can't in good contact bring 300 ladies to this ship because it feels like a hospital. She's like, it just feels like death. And she had no idea that it had been used as a hospital during the war.
Oh, right. I've never been a tourist. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think she learned that until later. I think I told her that when I started investigating. But yeah, she said it just felt so oppressive to her. And I get that. When I'm there, I feel the oppression. And
yeah, you
a
do.
couple of the scariest things that ever happened to me on that ship. But I still love it. And I go every chance I get. I just love being near her. And now I live back in Huntington Beach, so I'm close.
I've heard stories one time from a tour guide. She pulled me aside and she said, she was actually levitated and thrown across the room during her tours.
Wow.
I mean, that's crazy.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there. So I don't, it's not a big secret. I don't like elevators. And when you go to the Queen Mary.
I got trapped in one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my thing, my fear. So when you go to the Queen Mary, there's an area where you take the elevator up to the ship.
Yeah, the creepy elevator ride.
But you can also take the stairs up and go on the B deck. So you go up the 2 flights of stairs. They're right there by the elevator.
Right.
Then you walk out onto the plank, and it takes you into the B deck. And then you take the inside stairs up. So whenever I go to the B deck, there's like a love seat when you first walk in onto the ship. And I always sit there for about 10 minutes and just make friends with everybody. Like, okay, I'm here, and I know you can see me, and I can see you, but I'm only here just to have fun, and I'm not going to bother you. And I find just kind of having that conversation with them as I walk onto the ship has made my experiences there not as creepy and not as visceral. Because when I go there, I've been there a couple of times to investigate, but mostly when I go, it's like to see friends' bands play in the bar or go to somebody's birthday party. Like, I don't necessarily want to be terrified the whole time at somebody's birthday party.
Yeah, whenever I go there or tours, I'm always trying to say that I'm only here to observe, but if you want to communicate, I'm willing to listen to you.
I'm just here to make friends.
Yeah.
And usually I think they're pretty cool. Now, there are places where you go where nobody wants to be your friend, right? No matter what you do or say, you're not going to get a friend. But I find that on some of these locations, it's kind of like what we were talking about before, right? A lot of people go there just to sort of abuse the ghosts. And I don't think it's right. And I don't think it's healthy. And
that ticks me off too. It's like, I wish I could do something, but legally we can't.
Right. We can't make people stop being people, right? Some people just act poorly sometimes. But I think that's why we find in some of the more famous locations that there's not as much spirit activity. That in the beginning, you go to a place and there's so much activity. And then once thousands of teams have gone through that activity, you go and there's almost nothing. And I think it's because the spirits kind of pull back into the walls, right? They're like, oh God, here come these weirdos asking us these same 4 stupid questions over and over again. And we don't want to play anymore. We're tired. So I think that's a lot of why sometimes people go, oh, I went to the so-and-so location that I saw in the such and such show and there was no activity. It's like, yeah, because there's just been thousands and thousands of people going through and they all ask the same questions, right?
You're tired of it. And,
Are you a little girl? When did you die? Like, it's all the same questions.
I always like to ask, like, during EVP sessions, I'll ask out-of-box questions. Like, do you like ice cream? What's your favorite flavor? You know?
Nice.
Sometimes we'll get a response.
Keeping it happy.
Yeah.
I like that. What is your What is your policy on Spirit Box, on Ghost Box? Will you do it in your own home? Will you do it in somebody else's? Like where? Because I won't do it in my own home. And I tell all my clients and all the people who watch my shows, do not do Spirit Box in your house. Don't do pendulum in your house. Don't do a Ouija board in your house.
Right.
If you don't want activity in your house, don't do stuff in your house. If you want to go to a Ouija board party, great. Not at your house. How do you feel about that?
Well, I agree, but I would say because I'm used to it, that sort of thing, and what to expect. So I don't mind doing it here or a location if I have permission. I always make sure I get permission.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and try to communicate or cross over spirits.
Sure, sure. And you're okay to
Yeah,
do
I've
it
done
in
it
your own
too.
house? You're not worried that stuff's going to come visit you that you don't
No,
want in your house?
I'm guilty. I've done it before, and I always say I would not recommend doing what I'm doing because I'm used to it, and I'm a medium and I know what to expect. So
Kids, please don't do this at
yeah,
home. And
don't do
I'm
what
a
I'm doing.
medium too, but I'm a medium who dealt with a lot of paranormal trauma as a child. And I'm happy to come to your house with all the bells and whistles. I have all of it, but I don't necessarily want to go to
Right.
my house and do it. And people ask me all the time, can we investigate in your house? Because the house I live in now, the last 2 years, I moved back to my home from when I was 13 and we moved to Southern California. So I'm back in my teenage home. And
Oh wow.
it's on an Indian burial ground. So we kind of went out of the
Oh.
frying pan in Maryland and into the fire here. And I work very hard to make sure there's no activity here. I ward it with a lot of salt lamps, a lot of selenite wands and towers, a lot of brooms in the corners. I want it to be peaceful
That's
and
it.
serene here for me and the cat. I
Yeah, but
don't
that's your
want,
space. That's your
yeah,
space, and you have every right to.
yeah, it's where I work and it's where I help people. And I don't want to be awake in the middle of the night with crazy stuff. And still, some crazy things have happened, but you can't catch everything, right? Something's going to slip through the cracks.
Right.
You can't stop all the spirit activity. But for the most
True.
part, it's incredibly serene here and not at all how I thought it was going to be. So I feel very blessed to be here. But I think that all of us, when we paranormal investigate, whether we are people with spiritual gifts or not, we need to set perimeters for what we will deal with and what we won't deal with, right? There needs to
Right.
be parameters. There needs to be rules for here's what I want, here's what I don't want. Because I think too easily people go beyond their comfort zone and get in over their head, and then chaos ensues and it's not good.
True. That's true.
Um,
Oh, did we lose her? I'll try to fill in for her if we lost Sheena. Yeah, hey guys, my name is Nicole Gaspard. I'm a sightseer and author, part of the War Legacy Foundation. And I want to give a shout out to Joe, Frankie, and thank you for letting me work with you and everything. And I do love to remote view. So I'm trying to cover for them is the hey.
I'm back. Sorry about that. I hope you
Yeah,
kept
I was trying to hold the fort for you.
Good girl. Nobody, people just sit there and go, what? What? I was hoping you would do that. Yeah, somebody interrupted and a signal interrupted me and kicked me off. So
Oh no.
keep telling the story about how you got involved with the Warren Legacy Foundation.
Yes, I've always been, of course, I've been a fan of the late Edgar Warren,
Of course.
the Conjuring and the Annabelle and all the film and everything. I did look up to them, and yeah, I was stoked when I came across their site, and they do conduct interviews before they allow anyone in. So I liked their process, how they did it, interviews and everything, and yeah, it's basically where um like carrying on the works of the Warrens.
That's so
And
beautiful.
it was started by Chris McCandle, their grandson, and Lorraine.
Oh, that's
And I've been
wonderful.
a part of it for a couple of years now.
I saw him on some paranormal documentary that I was watching, and I really, really liked his vibe, and I liked how he dealt with spirits, and I thought he was really awesome.
He's been on my show a few times, and he'll be returning again on July 17th, I believe.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I need to
I
get him
learned a
on
lot
here.
from
Somewhere I have him on the list of people to contact to come on here, because I like if I watch
highly recommend them.
I'm sorry?
I was going to say I highly recommend them.
Yeah, when I see people on documentaries that I like, I always write their names down and go look them up and ask them to come and visit me here, because I think it's so important to highlight people that come from the right place, where we as psychic mediums and we as paranormal investigators are discovering new things, bringing to light new truth, but also being respectful of the spirits and being respectful of human beings involved in the community as well. And when I see people coming from that place, that makes me very, very happy.
That's true. I agree.
For you as a psychic, what has your life been like? Have you always been open to the world about your gifts, or was it a road to get there?
A little bit of both. It's, it takes a while to not only accept yourself, right, but also to accept your abilities. And once you're more confident, you can help not only yourself, but a lot more people, which myself anyway.
Yeah. Were you from a family where it was okay to talk about your gifts, and from a community where it was okay to talk about your gifts?
I wish there were, but there's like one person that I can confide to from my grandmother on my dad's side. I think that's where my abilities came from. Strangely enough.
And what did she say to you? And was she also gifted, sweetheart?
Oh yeah, yeah. And she said that one time, I'd like to share this story that one time
Please.
she went to this psychic, and she said the psychic said there's something special about your granddaughter's hands. So maybe I always thought maybe I had the ability to heal as well. So I did some Reiki training, and or Reiki. Sorry, I always say it wrong.
Oh, you had Reiki abilities.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So,
and do you use them in your psychic work?
Oh yeah. Whenever I have prayers, requests, or have people healing, and they say right away they'll feel more and more. Like if I send out, healing ball, they'll feel it right away.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. My mom had them too. And I'll share a story with you. When I was 23, I was in a very bad car accident. I had a near-death experience, and that's when my gifts really came to fruition. Even though my mom was a psychic medium, I thought I had not inherited her gifts until this accident, and that's when they all kind of came out. And I was dating a guy at the time who was a musician, and he was a guitar player, brilliant guitar player, still a very good friend. We still write music together.
I play the piano.
And he had these really warm, hot hands all the time, and every night he would rub my neck. So about 10 years later, I was having some stuff, and somebody suggested I have a follow-up MRI, because I was just waiting for surgery, right? The doctor said it might be a year, it might be 5 years, it could be, but you're going to have surgery on your neck. And I went to go have a follow-up MRI on my neck, and I brought it to the orthopedic surgeon, and he said, if everybody's MRIs look like this, I'd be out of business. There's nothing wrong with this neck. And I really believe that my neck was healed by his hands, because that night after night after night of those massages and his Reiki hands. And I saw my mom, the way she would like run her hands over the dogs, like she would heal those dogs.
I do that too to our animal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I told my mom, give it to me, and all of a sudden our dog felt at peace, more happy when I hold it.
Yeah. Does it work on you? Can you do Reiki on yourself?
Oh yeah, you can.
Okay.
I felt the energy, and I can see. I know this sounds strange, but I can also see it.
You can sing Reiki?
I can see it. See energy.
Of course. Yes, right? What does energy look like to you? My mom saw it in colors. So I think for me, when I see energy, I think of colors.
I like to describe it as little bubbles.
Oh, interesting. And
Little clear bubbles.
Do the bubbles are clear? Or they have color.
Clear. Some of them
Okay.
have whitish color. Mostly
Okay.
they're clear.
That's interesting.
Just how I see auras. Most auras,
Yeah.
around people, mostly I see are clear or dark or they're real bright. They're eyes.
That is so awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, interesting. One time when my mom was very old, we went to go see her doctor, and he asked how she was feeling, and she said, "Oh, I feel this in my chest. There's sort of this bluish color, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's blue, and then sometimes it almost gets kind of a like an orangey color." And he's looking at her, and I thought, "Oh," and I said, "Oh, did has my mom ever told you that she's a psychic?" He was like, "No," because I grew up down in
So
Orange County where
he might
things
be
are.
looking at her chakras. Because
That's how
whenever
she saw her stuff, right? She saw everything in her body in colors. And she had forgotten, because she'd gotten older, that she didn't describe it to the doctor like that. Um, but he was actually pretty good about it, considering, down here it's everything is very religious and not very spiritual. It's better than
Right.
it was when I was growing up, but still has a ways to go. I thought that was really interesting. Another interesting thing about my mom, she was in a nursing home trying to rehab from an injury and get walking
Huh.
again. And she would say to me, like, "This is the most horrible place. The people are so unfriendly." She had had an episode of hypoxia, low blood oxygen in her brain, had given her a little brain damage while she was in the nursing home. And she keeps saying to me, "This place is so unfriendly. These people walk up and down the halls. They just stare at me. They don't say anything. I say hi. They don't say hi back." She said, "Like that woman," because the nursing home had kind of an atrium court where you could see everybody's sliding glass doors in their rooms. She said, "Like that woman. She just keeps staring at me and I don't know what she wants." So I looked over at the room, and there was that woman in the wheelchair. There was the wheelchair, and there was the curtains, and there was the room, but there was no woman in the wheelchair. And I looked at my mom and I said, "Oh, do you remember that you're a medium?" And I said, "I think you're seeing people that are no longer alive, and they're
That would
not
make sense.
responding because they're dead. They're not unfriendly. They're just dead." That should be a T-shirt, right? They're not unfriendly. They're just dead.
That'd be a
And she
perfect
said,
saying for a
she kind
t-shirt.
of looked at me and she said, oh. And then she wasn't like upset to be there anymore because she realized people weren't mean. They just weren't alive.
Right. Yeah, it's
But
funny. I've actually seen my dad's operation. It's when I was going to a friend's party, and I'm like, "Did you guys see it?" It looked like my dad. He didn't look happy either because I'm
oh,
there. He was
oh,
standing. He had his arms crossed like this.
oh, wow.
Yeah, he didn't look happy. I was there.
Oh, that's sweet.
Hi, cutie.
This is my co-host Cullen. Hi, are you
Hi,
coming in for your cameo? Are you a good boy? Cullen's a good boy. Yeah. He doesn't understand what video time is. He thinks all time is mommy time.
His
And
time.
why would it ever not be mommy time? And I swear everybody associates my videos with the back of his little head. It should be the logo for the show, the back of your little
Hi,
head. I know
cutie.
you're a good boy. Mm. Yeah, I know he sees things in this house. I have it warded pretty good, but I know like right now, whatever
I
he's
believe
looking
you
at,
have pets too.
like, "Cullen, mommy doesn't want to know. Mommy doesn't want to know what you see. I only want to see no ghosts in this house. I got no ghosts in this house." As a matter of fact, we don't even watch scary shows or scary movies after dark in this house. And when I talk to people about this house, I never do it at night, and I almost never do it in the house. I'll say to my best
I would
friend,
have to
"I've
make
got
that
a
rule.
story for you to tell you when I'm in the car." And she's like, "Oh, okay." Because I just don't want to live in the middle of a celestial, shit show. I just don't. I don't want, because I remember what it was like to live in
Right.
a house in Baltimore with cabinets opening up and cans flying out of the cabinets and
Oh, wow.
big black apparitions. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want winged things in my house. I don't want little things that look like bats flying everywhere and blue balls of light, and we don't need all that.
Yeah, I've actually seen those blue balls of light. And
Yeah,
to me, I believe they're angels.
Oh, okay. I thought they were angelic too. I know some people think they're extraterrestrial, but I
Or
always
that
thought they
too.
were angelic.
And
And
I've
I
seen
think
that too.
I think the ones that look like that but are black and have wings are the opposite of angelic.
Yeah, I've seen those too.
I've seen both of those as well. It's interesting. My mom always saw the blue balls, and my father always saw the black stuff. So
Mm.
that kind of describes their personalities right there. So, do you have things in your home? Are there spirits in your
Oh
house?
yeah. Oh yeah, they come and go. Hopefully there's none lingering around. But yeah, I believe I have a few attachments. But I understand what they are and try not to let it scare me.
Right,
But I know like um I know for some reason why they like to hang around. I guess because I have my abilities. I like they might say, oh, you can see me or you can hear me.
right,
So
right,
sometimes I would hear names, spirits would tell me their names out of the blue.
right. How do you
It's
feel
like
about that? Do you mind that they're in your home? Do they ever scare you? Do they ever make you feel
I don't
unnerved
mind
or uncomfortable?
I don't mind as long as they don't scare me or as long as they're not evil.
Okay, okay,
Then I tell them to go.
right, right, okay, yeah, um, yeah. Sorry about the background noise. The gardener decided to show up in the middle of the.
Oh, no worries.
I'm like, anytime but between 4 and 5 and 4 o'clock, and there he is. But it's giving Cullen something to look at outside. Cullen's fascinated with the weed whacker. Um,
um,
yeah, I know it's a weird thing with me that I'm a stickler for having stuff in my house, but but I will say that at night, I can feel the native spirit energy walking around the house. Like I'm well aware. And when I come home at night from being out and I pull into the driveway and I get out of the car, I can definitely feel the spirits around my home. And I can also feel the spirits in the neighborhood. But when
if they're Indian, have you thought to leave peace offering like tobacco? Do they love
I do.
tobacco?
I do that to keep everybody friendly. So nobody's
Right.
unfriendly. And I have some native things here to keep people friendly. So nobody's really unfriendly, but that doesn't mean that they're not there, present.
Right.
Unfriendly, but present. And I don't really want them present either. But
Right.
like I said,
No.
I'm happy to come to somebody else's house. I'll come to your house and take care of whatever you need. But my area, I like to be. I think that doing psychic medium work, and when you do this work, and I'm sure you agree, I'm sure Lorraine Warren would have agreed, you kind of battle darkness every day, right? You fight for the light every day.
Oh yeah.
And so in my personal life, I want as much light and as much peace and as much serenity as possible, because you need a break from that. Like you need to have a place to go and recharge, right?
Right.
So for
Recharge,
me,
reground, and grounding yourself
right,
every day is very important. That's why I like to walk
grounding,
there. Yeah.
protecting. I'm surprised how many psychics say to me, "Oh, I don't really protect. I don't know how to do that." I'm like, "What? You don't
That's the
protect
first thing I've
yourself?"
learned.
Oh, it's the most important thing. Protection is everything, right? It's
Yeah.
absolutely everything.
Oh, we lost her again. Yes, we don't learn to protect ourselves. How can we protect others? And hopefully she'll come back, guys. I'm gonna try to hold the fort for her. And yeah, so one thing that we can protect ourselves, like Ricky or any type of shielding might work. She come back. Oh, oh, here we are.
You're doing
I'll try
great.
to cover for
Once
her.
again, the spirits have thrown me off once again, and you're
I
doing
hope it's
great.
not my spirits or my energy. Maybe I need to back
I
up.
don't hope I don't it doesn't matter if it is, it's okay. I'm just glad you're not freaked out by the fact that I disappear and then
It
I come
happens
back.
to me all the time. I'm used.
Sure. Um so protection. Do you protect yourself and your home when you're
Oh
working with a
yes,
client? Do you protect them?
definitely. And I always let them know, if they want me to put a shield around them,
Yeah.
and yeah, the idea to be yourself first, and then your family and your house, and then your clients or team,
Yeah.
with whoever you're working with.
Yeah. Super important. Yes. Yes. Have you worked with a lot of teams? Paranormal
Just
teams?
the one I tried to start when I first coming out. We were, called spirit chasers at the time. And Kimberly and my girlfriend, an investigator, and we did, I don't know, I would not recommend doing this. We did 3 locations in one day.
Oh, wow.
Plus,
Okay.
plus
What kind?
I went to the David Owen's house the next day.
Okay.
I don't know how I did it, but yeah, we did. She was still drained, but I was alright, so I didn't mind
Yeah.
going to David's house the next
And then
day.
what do you do after an investigation to protect yourself?
I mainly say prayers. I was also raised Christian and Christian Baptist, funny enough.
Okay.
But and I use prayers, shielding. I was talking about shielding when you were went out. So I
Sure.
put
Sure.
like a mirror. I pretend it's a mirror shield, so that way it can bounce back to them.
Right. Right. Yes.
And I have crystals. I have my crystals nearby. My black obsidian tower.
Oh,
So you guys
is
can
that
see it.
that's obsidian? Is that obsidian?
Yeah, my little monolith.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I have my other favorite quartz. I'm wearing my rose quartz here, and I got another one here.
Beautiful. And what do you use rose? Do you use the obsidian to repel negativity? And what do you use the rose quartz to bring love in?
Yeah,
That's
they're
beautiful.
also good. They're also good for protection as well, I believe. And
Yeah.
the smoky quartz.
Yeah. Oh, and right. Smoky quartz for grounding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use that a lot too. And hematite. I love
Oh,
hematite
hematite.
so much.
Yeah, I just got hematite ring, and I just couldn't find it today. I just I
It's
misplaced
great.
it. Something.
Great for grounding. Yeah, I used to have a really
Yeah.
bad time from that car accident. I would have a very, very difficult time with dizziness. And one time I went to the long way over here at Topanga Canyon in Southern California. You can take from the San Fernando Valley to Malibu to the beach.
Huh.
And I was so dizzy. And when you got to the far side of Topanga, there used to be this little shack. I mean, it was literally like a little shack, and it was a crystal shop. And out in front of it, there was this giant amethyst geode, it was like 10 feet high. It was the most
Oh,
beautiful
I
thing you ever
remember them.
saw. And I told my boyfriend, you got to pull over, Reiki boyfriend. I said, you got to pull over, Reiki boyfriend, because I need to get out of this car for a minute. I'm so dizzy. And I must have been stumbling around, and the guy must have noticed. It was right, maybe not even a year after my accident. So I did not have control of my dizziness yet, my vertigo. And he came over to me and he said, are you having vertigo right now? And I said, yeah. He said, do me a favor, come over here and sit down. And he put me on this little rickety chair next to the shack of crystals. And he put a hematite in each one of my hands. And he said, close your hands. I'm holding my hands up like this. And I literally felt everything just go boop and slow down and stop spinning. And the vertigo went away. So I've been
Yeah,
a
that's a great crystal.
massive fan of hematite ever since then. I think it is, and also magnet stone, I think is brilliant. Of my messed up neck from that accident, one of the things that stopped the pain when it was so bad was I had a neck brace with magnet stones in it. Um, but I'm also very old school with the selenite and the black tourmaline, because I think we should all be removing negativity as much as we can from everywhere.
Right. I was also involved in a car accident.
Oh, were you? Was it
Yeah, but I
serious?
was too young to remember. But yeah,
Okay.
it left a mark. I call this my Harry Potter mark. It's on my
Oh,
forehead.
did you
And
have
I just bumped my head.
did
And I
you
think,
have a head injury from it, and did you have a near death experience?
I like to say yes, but I don't really remember much. It must have affected it that much. I just don't remember much. I was too young,
Yeah,
And yeah, I think having that trauma helps with your
yeah,
psychic abilities. It like enhance your abilities to
I agree. I agree. I think most of us that are psychic at one point or another had some kind of a near-death experience. I mean, I think the gifts are always there, but I think the head trauma and the near-death experiences bring it out.
I believe I do astral travel, though. I think that's similar.
Do you think it's safe? Because people ask me all the time, and I always tell people, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not protected spiritually, you don't know how to protect yourself, you don't know how to ground yourself, not
Right.
everybody who's just starting out should be astral projecting, right?
Right, I agree, yeah. Maybe I wish just to have someone like a mentor and train you in that area. That's how I got started.
Yeah.
As well. Besides Reiki, I'm learning how to astral travel. And in fact, my grandmother was trying to teach me herself.
Yeah. Have you
Teach
ever
me how
been
to astral
have you
travel.
ever been scared? I mean, has it ever bothered you? Ever
At
made you
first it did, but after a while I can do it. It's like no problem. I think that's those are different dimensional realms every night.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can astral project. I'm from LA. Do you find
It's
that
kind of
Southern
like
California is a
oh,
very spiritually charged place? Because I think it's a very spiritually charged place.
oh yeah, I think we're surrounded by water, like
Yeah.
ocean. And
Right.
water is the source of energy,
Right.
you know.
Right.
I think that's
And the
probably one of
mountains
the main reasons. The
and the
mountains.
mountains in the desert, right? Southern
Yeah,
California is basically wrapped up between ocean, desert, and mountains.
and
We're
mountains.
surrounded. And those are
And
all big
whenever
spiritual.
like they're built on limestone. What is it? Limestone that
Yes, the mountains are
imprints
limestone.
energy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah, the Hollywood Hills are all limestone. That's why all those houses are crazy haunted. I have these clients, they're always like, what do we have to do to
yeah, I
be in a
wouldn't be
house that's not
surprised.
haunted? I'm like, leave the Hollywood
Come out
Hills.
here.
Exactly. Leave the Hollywood Hills. It's too haunted.
Right.
Sweetie, you're wonderful. Will you come and do this again? I would love it.
Oh sure, anytime. Thank you for having me.
Where can people find out about you and your show and everything you're doing? How can they find you?
Oh yes, I'm always on Facebook, Twitter, X, TikTok, YouTube. My podcast is Nikki's Parent Talk Show podcast. Hopefully I said it right. I've changed it so many times. So hopefully, I think it's the last time we can.
It's
Nikki's
Nikki's
Parent
Parrot
Talk
Talk.
Show.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I like
Okay.
to change it up sometimes. Yeah.
Nice. Change it up, baby. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for being here, sweetheart. What an honor to have you.
Thank you.
Nicole Gaspard, part of the Warren Legacy Foundation, wonderful psychic and author. I'm Sheena Metal. If you missed any information on me or Nicole, SheenaMetalSpiritual.com. That's my website. Please come and get to know me better. Or you can call me, 818-437-0886. Texting is best. That's my cell phone. Let's get to know each other. I would love that. I'm everywhere on social media at Sheena Metal. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X. And until I see you next time, seek peace, live in love, lead with kindness, embrace unity, always work to raise your vibration, and know that you are love and you are loved, and you're so loved by me. Thanks to Parapod TV and its owner and operator, Tony Sweet, for having us, making us part of your TV family, and to my engineer and producer, Emery. You're the wind beneath my wings, baby. Thanks for being here. I'm Sheena Metal. This is the Sheena Metal Experience, only on Parapod TV. And you know what? I'll see you next time. Take care of you. Namaste.
Mm-hmm.